to Glory Podcast, Big Ten Preview Week. Hunter Zarbnicki, Austin Rose, Dakota Freetag. We are still up on YouTube, getting a couple of views. I'll just leave it at a couple. But it's interesting finding out that some people still dislike to listen to podcasts. But yeah, if you want to watch us, we are on YouTube. We also can be found same places as always. Big Ten preview. Today we'll have a little Husker talk, but we really want to dive through the opponents so we can see who we're beating in the Big Ten title game.
So optimistic of you, Hunter. Title. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. You're always known to be the optimistic one, and I should follow suit.
You do.
Follow your lead.
I'm already assuming we all got Nebraska number one.
Well, yeah, we could just write that off.
Yep.
Here's how we're gonna do this. It's gonna be a little bit of a longer episode. Well, not time-wise, but a lot of content to get through. So there's 18 teams. I was doing research. It took a while to get through them all. And it makes it more fun, I think. But at the same time, there's going to be a lot to dive into. So just high-level overview. 18 teams, 4 newcomers. There's quite a few first-year head coaches. You got Jedd Fisch at Washington, Jonathan Smith coming from Oregon State to Michigan State, Deshaun Foster, first-year head coach at UCLA, Cignetti at Indiana. Who else? David Braun taking over head coach at Northwestern.
Wasn't David Braun the interim last year?
He was the interim, so this is official first year. So a lot of new coaches there for teams that, I guess for me, when we get to our rankings, that are kind of all in one big group. There's some teams here that I think, we're one of them, that have a chance to potentially have a breakout year. We have a little more continuity than some of these other teams, but for the most part, there's a lot. There's a couple at the top we'll get to. I assume we're all pretty similar in that aspect, but a lot of interesting moving parts here. And Big Ten Media Days were a few weeks ago. Heard some interesting comments from a couple of the coaches. So yeah, how this is going to work. We are, instead of each going through like our 18 or 17, we're just going to let one person just go, and they'll have some time to go through all their rankings, give some commentary, almost like a little segment. We should put some music behind it. But you'll get some time to explain your rankings, justify them. We'll have some time for some back and forth, and then we'll move on. So I'm curious. This was hard. It was so hard for me to do. So I'll just leave it there. I'm gonna go last. Austin, I think you're gonna go first. Dak second. So Austin, the floor is yours for the people.
All right. Now I will say, as far as my depth of how I looked at this, I pretty much looked at a couple key returning players, who they lost, schedule. That's pretty much all the further I went. I didn't try to think too hard about it. So I'll justify a couple, but like you said, really, you've probably got 5 at the top, a big group in the middle, and then maybe 2 or 3 at the bottom that are, I think we'll all agree on, but I don't know for fact. So we're going to try to start from the bottom, work our way up. Let me pull up my list here. UCLA is going to have the worst year in the Big Ten.
Sorry, I said I wasn't going to interrupt you, and then I made a fun little graphic that I want to share while we're doing this, if I can figure out how to do it. Share screen.
Look at that. Wow, you pulled
There's our fun little graphic.
I like how you
nice pictures.
You Google Austin Rose Omaha on the Exarban Curling Board president or board of directors pictures, the one you chose. That's funny. All right, I got UCLA number 18. They have a really tough schedule, and I mean, it's absolutely brutal. They travel the most mileage in the FBS over the season's like 22,000 miles or something like that. They play LSU, Oregon, Penn State, Minnesota, Rutgers, Nebraska, Iowa, Washington, USC, sandwiched between Indiana, Fresno, and Iowa, Hawaii. So easily, I think they're going to have the worst record in the Big Ten. So working our way up from there, we're going to go probably the Indiana Hoosiers. New first year head coach. They haven't been very good ever since Michael Penix was there, basically. Don't really need to justify that too much. Following it up, another Indiana native, the Purdue Boilermakers. Although I think they're going to be improved from last year. They have a tough schedule for the most part. Again, we're starting to get to that fat pack of, I think there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to be sitting around that 7-5 win, 8-4, and 6-6. I think Purdue's going to be on the edge of that, probably like at a 5-7. But I just think they don't really have a whole lot. They're still kind of turning over with their defensive coach from what their offense was. Up next from them, I'm going to go with Michigan State, another new head coach. Had a rough year last year, but they were still kind of feisty there towards the end. I do think I can't remember what's the Oregon State head coach. What's his name?
Jonathan Smith.
Yes. I think he's a good head coach. I think he's going to bring over a lot of talent from Oregon State. I don't know how well that talent's going to translate from the Pac-12 into the Big Ten. From there, I'm probably going to throw in Illinois, I think. Honestly, Illinois Northwestern are pretty close for me. I think Illinois with Brett Bielema could easily turn around and have a decent year, but I also don't know if they really showed that they got that much talent in the offseason. And then I'd have Northwestern be next. Basically for the same thing. I think they lost their quarterback. They're going to have a transfer quarterback. They're going to have a pretty decent defense. They'll have an okay offense. I just think the middle of the Big Ten is just going to cannibalize itself. Up after that, I'd probably go with Minnesota over the Terrapins. They also have no Tanner Morgan, so at that point, I think that's a positive. So they should be better than last year. Maybe. Again, I'm just letting you know this middle of the Big Ten was so freaking hard to rank. They have a decent schedule. I don't think it's that tough. They play Michigan, Iowa, and USC, and then Penn State at the end of the year. But other than that, I think they can win the rest of it. So you're looking at that 8-4 mark. Yeah, then you have Maryland up next. I was gonna pull up their schedule. I just closed it though. I think they're actually returning a decent amount of talent. I think they have a pretty favorable schedule as far as Maryland goes. Their toughest game is going to be against Oregon. They have Oregon, Penn State, Iowa, and then USC. I think they could win the rest of them, honestly. Again, Minnesota, Northwestern, Indiana, Villanova, UConn, all very winnable games. Put them up there. Where's my list? And then here's where it kind of gets a little tricky. I think I'm going to put Washington. They lost their head coach. He went to Alabama. They lost a lot of their talent that transferred out. They lost a lot of talent that graduated. They lost their starting quarterback, lost their starting wide receiver, lost their other starting wide receiver. Made the national title last year. I think it's going to be a little reminiscent of TCU from last year where they just totally dip off. Big Ten's tough. They kind of have a tough schedule. So I have them right in the middle of the pack at 10. From there, I'm going to go with Wisconsin. I think Luke Fickell is a good head coach. I think they're in the right path. I don't remember what their record was last year. I have it written down somewhere.
I thought 7-5.
Is that right? I can't remember if they were 6-6 or 7-5. But I think they'll improve. I think they'll make a bowl this year. You know, you look at their schedule, it's kind of the same as everyone else. They have Penn State, Iowa, USC. They do play Alabama. Probably going to lose that one. But I think they'll probably make a bowl at 7-5, just like the rest of these guys are going to be right there at the middle of the pack. Number 8, your Nebraska Cornhuskers. I know you thought they were going to be number 1. They're not. I think we also have a favorable schedule. We'll talk a lot more about the Huskers. I don't need to spend too much time on why they're number 8. Then I have Rutgers, number 7. Spicy little year for Rutgers. We've talked about this. Again, favorable schedule. They return a lot of talent. Greg Schiano is still there. It's really just their schedule that's kind of tasty to look at. They play USC as their only preseason ranked opponent. Howard, Akron, Virginia Tech, Washington, Nebraska, Wisconsin, UCLA, Minnesota, Maryland, Illinois, Michigan State. They could win all of those games except for no, they could win all those games. Straight up could. I don't think they will, but that's such a nice schedule. It's tough not to put them in the top 7. I almost wanted to bump them up to the top 5, but I didn't know if we were going totally based off where we expect them to end or based off talent. So I threw them at number 7. Number 6, I have Iowa. I almost said USC. I think they'll be improved from last year. They'll still bring a great defense. Offense can't be any worse. And they were really good last year with the shitty offense. So there you have it, 6. I got USC number 5. I think a lot of people are down on them just because of their defense. I think Lincoln Riley's a good offensive coach. Dak, you can't say anything yet. But I do think they're going to have a really good offense. They have a great wide receiver. They'll have good skill positions. I think a slightly improved defense will go a long ways. Obviously, the Big Ten's a little bit tougher, but I do think they're top 5 in the Big Ten. Number 4, I have Michigan. Lost their head coach, lost their starting quarterback, still returning quite a few key players from their championship team last year. I think part of their championship team last year was a little bit of I don't want to say a fluke, but they didn't blow anyone out offensively. And I think they're going to take a step back offensively. So they're probably going to lose a couple more of those defensive battles. All right. Number 3, Penn State. They have arguably one of the best quarterbacks that Franklin's had coaching at Penn State. They got a new offensive coordinator they're trying to spruce up. They've always had good defense. They usually have great linebackers. I really think that they are in position that they're actually gonna do something this year. I think their schedule is not too much of a gauntlet. Where is it? I mean, you look at their schedule, they don't have to play Michigan this year. They play Ohio State and USC, but the rest of their schedule, very winnable. And they could even win USC, and they could win Ohio State. Number 1 and 2, I'm going to go with number 2, the Ohio State Buckeyes. I really think Oregon's really freaking good. Obviously, the Buckeyes are really good. They got Chip Kelly at the offensive coordinator, Will Howard coming in a transfer quarterback. They returned a ton of their starters last year. Still upset that they lost to Michigan, but Oregon's really freaking good. And I think that they're the best team in the conference. That's it. That's what I got. How's my time?
I don't know. I didn't time yet. Dak, I'll let you unload on the Lincoln Riley.
I'll say it for my rankings. Okay. It'll kind of tie in there.
Interesting. It's interesting. I think you highlighted a lot of similar thoughts, but we definitely have some differences. When I get to mine, I do agree. Like, there's a lot of jumbled teams here that, as I mentioned before, there's
6 through 15 could honestly go.
The middle could go any way.
Right. Well, I should say 7 through 15 could really go anyway, and even you might even be able to throw Purdue in there.
It's just there's a lot of variability, and a lot of it's going to come down to, I think, quarterback play. A couple of things like when I get to my rankings too that I am trying to score a little higher is returning production and just consistency from the year before. I think the transfer portal obviously is everywhere now. But a lot of these teams, there's just so many newcomers, and the transfer portal is good. But I think teams that are able to retain and return people, I think are going to have a little bit of an edge. Dak, any other comments on Austin's ratings, or do you just want to jump in?
I think a lot of this has to do with schedule.
Yes.
A lot of teams either got really screwed on schedule or got really easy schedules. You just want to miss those top 4 to 5 teams.
Yeah, and I will say this too. Like, I didn't factor schedule into mine. There's 2 ways of doing rankings, right? Finishing order based on record and play, which it sounds like since you're factoring in the schedule, it's kind of where you landed. I was just doing more power rankings of teams and where I have them. So that's why we differ a little bit, but that's the beauty of rankings. It's all someone's opinion, and there's a reason why they have them where they have them. So
how does Iowa never play any of those top teams?
They get a lucky ass schedule every year.
I guess they played Penn State and they got their doors kicked off, but
oh man. All right, Dak. Floor's yours.
All right. I told Hunter this earlier. Most it's just off field.
Oh,
not a whole lot of research. I'm just gonna do it off the top here. All right. Number 18, Indiana. I think similar to you. I did this 3-tiered here. This bottom tier is 18 through 12. It's the ass tier. I think all these teams are gonna suck. I think these all I don't think anyone make a bowl game on these up to 12. Okay, so Indiana's gonna be awful. Like you said, they haven't done anything since Michael Penix. Got a brand new coach. I think it's gonna be a long time until they even sniff a bowl game. Next one, Michigan State. When you were talking, I thought about I probably should put them higher because they did fight hard at the end for that new coach. I think they were just done with Mel Tucker. But I still don't think they have the talent yet. They're on the come up though a little bit. UCLA, another terrible team. I think these bottom 3 might not even win more than 3 games. Next one, Northwestern, new coach. They're a team that always could sneak up on people, I guess, but I don't see it this year. The thing with them is their max is always 7-8 wins. And I guess they didn't make Big Ten championship a couple years ago, but I don't know. I don't think they're gonna be very good. Maryland. I gotta ask you guys: is Taleo, whatever his name, is he back?
Nope,
he's not. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. So he's gone. He was basically the only reason why they were even decent last year. So now he's gone. I don't know. I don't see them really doing anything without him. He carried their team to 6-7 wins last year. Next one, Illinois. Bielema, they always have, and he's always sneaky. I just don't think that they have the talent to compete. Who knows, though? He could always pull something out of his ass and put a good team together. And then we got Purdue. I actually think they're going to be decent this year. I like Hudson Card quite a bit. Their defense was not off, or it was better last year than the year before, so that's getting better. I don't know. I could see them sneaking up higher than what we think, actually. Next one, Iowa.
Did you see me hook the horns?
No.
Hudson Card.
Iowa at 11?
He went to Texas?
Yeah, he was the backup. Remember he played against Alabama?
Oh, yeah, I know. Sadly, I think he's actually decent for Purdue. All right, next one, Iowa. And this is solely off of, did you guys see Cade McNamara's stat line in the scrimmage game?
No.
7-21, no touchdowns and a pick in the scrimmage last Saturday. So maybe Deacon Hill's the option there. Who knows? I hope that they get dead last in Big Ten and they shut down the program. They're the worst team ever to watch. All right. Next one, Minnesota. They're going to be totally different on offense. They had AK-47 last year and then Tanner Morgan year before, just two drop back passers. Now they have a running quarterback. So it'll be completely different. It'll be good changeup, I guess. See how they're doing. They're always good at wide receiver. Their defense always solid. I think they're pretty much guaranteed 6-7 wins with PJ Fleck every year. Next one, Rutgers, which I thought about putting higher too. Their schedule is so easy. Like you said, I like their quarterback a lot. I cannot think what his name is. God damn it.
Yeah, you just said his name.
Wismit.
No. Calic Manis.
No, Wismit's going to start.
AK-47 transferred.
He's not starting over Wismit.
They said they don't know yet.
Wow. Okay. Well, that'd be a mistake. Anyway. I'm doing this off Wismit starting. I think AK-47 sucks, but their schedule's so easy. I don't think you got to be that good of a team to win 8 games of that schedule. Next one, USC. Not much explaining here. I don't think Lincoln Riley is a good coach. Washington after that. They lost a lot. I still think their talents, I think they have enough talent to be good this year. I don't know. I probably should have put Washington a little bit lower, but they lost so much. Screw it. All right, Nebraska, number 6. I think that's another thing. Their schedule's so easy. This all depends on Raiola too. If he's super good, you could easily move up in top 5. If he sucks, you could drop down to around that Illinois, Maryland, Northwestern point. It's all about that. I think your defense is still gonna be solid. I think your offensive line's a big thing too. I don't think it's gonna be as bad as what everyone says. It's awful in the college football game, by the way. Okay, Wisconsin, number 5. I think I'm big on Tyler Van Dyke. I know he sucked last year in Miami. Before that, though, he was super good. I think he just got in his head last year, and I think Luke Fickell's gonna bring it out in him. I don't know. He felt part of Miami. I think he is the 3rd best quarterback in the Big Ten. Next one, Penn State. I'm not as high on Sean Clifford as everybody else is.
Sean Clifford, huh?
Oh my God, not Sean Clifford. Jesus.
Allure?
Drew Aller.
Drew Allard. Okay. Sean Clifford. That's about 2 years ago. Anyway, I'm not as big on him. I don't think he's that good of a quarterback, like passer. Everybody's so high on him. He reminds me of, God damn it, who was the guy they had a couple years ago? Christian Hackenberg.
Sean Clifford?
No, not Sean Clifford. Sean Clifford is better than, I think Sean Clifford's better than these two. And then you got James Franklin, can't win a big game, save his life. So that's about their max is 4 every year. Next one, Ohio State. I don't think Ryan Day is a good coach either. That dude got handed everything. He has not done anything with it. I think Michigan still owns them and will continue to own them. Then we got Michigan, number 2. I don't think people think they're going to be bad, but I think they're going to be better than what people are saying because they still got Donovan Edwards. I know they lost J.J. McCarthy a lot on defense and their coach, but hell, that interim coach came in and beat Ohio State. So I don't think the coaching is that big of a deal losing to Harbaugh. Next one, Oregon. They are absolutely stacked for sure on offense. Their defense is okay. That's all they're going to need with that offense. And you got my boy DG run the ship. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the nation.
Well, I'm just gonna say this: it's so hard to sit here and listen to Dak and not comment because you just make so many bold, just random comments, and I'm just like, what the hell? Like Tyler Van Dyke, 3rd best quarterback in the Big Ten.
He is.
Wait, you got Will Howard and Dylan Gabriel ahead of him?
No.
Who are the other 2?
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, Will Howard and him.
What about USC's quarterback? I can't think of his name.
Nope.
Miller Moss.
Miller Moss, yeah.
Nope. I mean, other than that, who else would you? Who else would
Luke
you put over?
Altmaier, Hudson Card, Dylan Raiola,
Or
Cade McNamara.
Rue.
Fuck. Is Cade McNamara even going to start?
He'll start if
Wow.
he's healthy.
I'm going to go back and watch the highlight tape tonight of that scrimmage, and I'll report back to you guys how that was.
Austin, any other comments?
Gosh. I feel like you're really high on Purdue, and I think their schedule is not great.
Yeah,
It could
Dak,
be-
you going off your gut, I think, it's not a bad thing, right? I mean, research can do some for you, but with my research and just what
I
I
did a
think,
little research, not
I-
much.
I got some different opinions here from you. So
Purdue plays Notre Dame, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Illinois, Oregon, Northwestern, Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan State, Indiana. And based off your rankings, they would beat Indiana, Michigan State, and Northwestern.
I have them around a bowl game,
they could.
like 6 and 6.
I think-
5 and 7.
I think anyone in that basically 7 to 15 mark can play a bowl game.
And I think
school-
the bottom teams, some one of those teams could go winless.
Yeah, exactly.
I think those bottom 3 suck ass. Like, there's no way around that.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. So I'll
Yeah, you go. I'm still digesting this.
yeah.
So, you
So-
go.
I can't read my notes because my lighting's like orange in here, and I wrote in an orange pen, so that was kind of dumb. Speaking of Purdue, I had them at the bottom. I also, part of my research was their win totals. I didn't go solely off of that, but I did look at that. Purdue has the lowest win total, 3.5. So Dak, you should be going to the casino and hammering the over. Yeah, Hudson Card, quarterback. Maccabee's back at running back. Seems like he's been there forever. Walter's their head coach, second year. If he's a defensive guy from Illinois, that's why Illinois' defense was so good a couple years ago. If he can implement that here in year 2, then Purdue is going to climb this list. Like all those teams you just mentioned are all teams that they are going to need to win to be above this. And I think they can, but I just don't know if they're great. Right above them, I had Indiana, and I'm going to laugh because we're probably going to go out to Bloomington and lose because I'm going to the game. But here they are.
There's
17.
no shot.
Kursignetti, I think here's why I have him so low. I think he did what Scott Frost did at Big Ten Media Days and just put a giant target on his back, and everyone's going to come out and beat the shit out of him. After, I can't remember the exact words, but basically saying that don't judge based off of last year, blah, blah, blah. We're here to do our thing. And I don't know. Basically, it was arrogant and trying to build confidence in his team, but I think it's going to come back to backfire. That's why I kept them so low. Northwestern, I have here at 16. Don't know who their quarterback is. They do return 7 on defense. David Braun comes back. I just think it's going to be a little longer for them to, if they even can, rebuild. Their Pat Fitzgerald, I think, was a big reason why they hung around and were so good. I think I've always liked Fitzgerald as a coach. Their win total is 5.5. I think, again, if things piece together well, I think they could be better than that. But right now, I have them at 16. 15, I have the Bruins. Yes, I have the Bruins. Similar reasons that you guys had. Sharon Moore has not been a head coach yet. I think that's going to be pretty evident, especially coming to the Big Ten, where a lot of it is about game management, ball control. I do think the Pac-12 teams are going to bring a little bit of a different element to the Big Ten, but this is one team that I think it's going to take a long time to adapt, and I just don't see them being good. I mean, Austin, you had them last. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. But again, UCLA, I think, could be okay. They're going to have California athletes, but they lost a lot. A lot of guys transferred out. And also, all the Big Ten teams are going to want to travel to LA and go to the Rose Bowl for those games. So UCLA doesn't get any fans there to begin with. They're really not going to have many home games. Yeah, that's enough on UCLA. 14. This is a last minute change right before the pod. It actually lines up with Dak, is Maryland. I like Mike Locksley as a head coach, but I do think their offense was sprung by Tagovailoa. They have to get a new quarterback. They have to get a new running back. They have to replace 4 offensive linemen. They did not have a great defense last year or the year before that. They're known to score points. I think there's that lack of continuity that's going to hurt. So I moved them down last minute. Spartans are who I got next at 13. There's a completely new offensive line there, so I don't love that. They did get a ton of transfers in. I have them ahead of some of these other first-year coaches because I do think Jonathan Smith has potential to be better than them. I think what he did at Oregon State was pretty impressive. He had a pretty decent offensive style out there that I think will bring a new twist to the Big Ten. It's going to be kind of a mix of run the ball, throw the ball, and I think it'll be a little bit tough to prepare for. So I have Michigan State a little higher than you guys did. At 12, here's where I got the Washington Huskies. And I didn't realize this until I was listening and doing research. Guys, they lost everybody. They have, I think I heard, 2 returning starters from last year's team on both sides of the ball combined.
Oh.
A lot of guys transferred. They did get guys to transfer in. Will Rogers will be their quarterback. I think that's a positive for them. Jedd Fisch coming from Arizona. I think they're also going to just struggle coming over to the Big Ten, just like UCLA, as I mentioned. It's funny. They make the playoffs, but they're all gone. Everybody's gone. Everybody. So it's going to be a complete reset. I do think they can still beat some of these teams here at the bottom, but I don't. They're still toss-ups. They're a little bit above a toss-up for me. At 11 is where I bring in Brett Bielema and Illinois. They got to figure their defense out and get it back to where it was a couple years ago. Luke Altmaier, I think, they're going to go on offense as he goes. I think he's got some talent. So I do think they could be okay. They do run the ball a lot. I do like Bielema as a coach. I think he understands the Big Ten. I like them in games against Washington, UCLA, even USC. Like, I like them. I don't even know if they play them, but I like them in those spots. At 10, I got Minnesota. PJ Fleck, I think, could be on the hot seat, getting there potentially. We'll see, but I think they're going to win 7 games. They do return 8 guys on defense. Max Brosmer, Dak, you mentioned him coming running quarterback. They return 4 offensive linemen. Continuity there, important for me. At number 9, here's where I drop us. Here's the deal with us. I think we have better talent than a lot of these teams. It's can we not turn the ball over? It's can we game manage? I think we're better than these teams talent-wise. But in the past, we have not shown to consistently beat them. But I still think it's deserving enough to put us at 9, especially with Raiola, who, again, we can't get worse at quarterback. 8, Schiano, Scarlet Knights, Rutgers. We all had them pretty high. Maybe that's something we should be looking at a little bit at the casinos. But their win total, I forgot to do this for the rest of the teams, but their 6.5 win total, I like their over big time. Their schedule's cake. I think if it plays out right, they could have a chance to even making the title game if they win some of their games at their 50-50 end. So, and that one of those being Nebraska. 7. Oh, let's see. I'm going to go USC. I think they're going to have a little bit of a shock like these other Pac-12 teams. I think physicality might be an issue. I just see them going around 7, 5, 8, and 4. I think their win totals, at 7.5. Right above them, I have Wisconsin. I don't know. For some reason, I always think Wisconsin's better than they probably are. Probably another 8-win team. Luke Fickell, I still think they should have stuck to more of the run game because what they're known for. They lose Braylon Allen, but I think they have Ches Malusi back. Van Dyke, we'll see. Experiment. Dak, I don't know if I'm as high as you are on him. At number 5 is the Iowa Hawkeyes. Schedule's cake. Their offense cannot get worse. Defense is really solid. That's why McNamara went 7 for 21, Dak, is because they're playing against a damn good defense. So Iowa at 5. At 4, Michigan. Lost a lot more than I think everybody realizes. Donovan Edwards, yes, is back. Can Orji throw the ball? Alex Orji, their quarterback, and they don't even know if he's starting. They're going to have to run the ball a lot. They return 0 offensive linemen. At 3, Penn State and Nittany Lions. You mentioned it. Drew Aller is a key for them. They're a 10-win team. I mean, that's just what they do every year. I think they'll probably have a chance at squeaking in the playoffs. Tom Allen's their new D coordinator, comes over from Indiana. I think they have a solid running back. Their offensive coordinator this year, new coordinator, came from Kansas. Here's where I have different than you guys, and I feel pretty good about it. I got Ohio State 1, and the only thing that scares me on that is there might be a little pressure for Ryan Day this year. Obviously for not beating Michigan. I think they're going to get that done. They return a crap ton. 9 starters on defense, plus added 3 starters in the portal. They return 4 offensive line starters. Will Howard coming at quarterback. You guys know I'm a big Will Howard fan. Their biggest transfer is the offensive coordinator, Chip Kelly, stealing them from UCLA. I just think Ohio State's primed to make a run. Oregon, I do think is going to be solid. I think they're going to slip up in a game to a traditional Big Ten team that they shouldn't. I know I probably went over my time, but we got a little bit of discussion. What do you think?
We all have the same top half except for Dak, who has USC and Iowa. You know, you have Iowa out of the top half and Washington in. But
I might be higher in Washington now. I take back what I said about Van Dyke being top. Will Rogers is top 3 quarterback in the Big Ten.
Great. They lost every other player on their team from last year.
Yeah, that's not great. We'll see, I guess.
Those will be interesting. I think just there's a lot of similarities, but I think there's some different teams here, and we can highlight that as we get in the Nebraska schedule. Next episode, we will do a ranking of our 12 games of importance. We had some very differing opinions from last year. Some were right, some were wrong. So we'll get to that next week. Go Big Red.
GBR.
Boomer Sooner.